Yes, yes. I don't have the answer. So there's some, I don't have the one, the two others, we don't know. But I have I really don't have it.
Well, I was born in England, my husband's 87.
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah. It was more one of
I think it was a security check, Beth. I hope you passed. We're waiting for the RCMP. So I'll start, and then I'm just going to say a few comments, and then, because then it's you, right? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Okay, you're awake out there. I forget who it was said the lights are so bright I can't see anyone. I can see everyone, and I can see you're awake and you're here and ready to go again. So I hope everyone enjoyed day one yesterday. Covered a lot of territory, a lot of new ideas, hopefully, that you can put into your toolbox. How many were able to join us for the gala presentations last night? Okay, a good crowd. So for those that couldn't, you missed a great night. Too bad. And next year you must attend. It was a night of celebration, and I won't go through all. There's actually during our breakout sessions this morning, there will be an opportunity to hear from each of the award recipients and finalists, and you'll get a chance to see some of the great and exciting things that are happening right across the country. I will give you a caption, though, that with the IPAC Deloitte Leadership Awards, we had over 100 submissions this year. Fantastic. And I shouldn't say this. The jury panel, so we've got a few members here, but bear with me. You know, it was supposed to be, bronze, silver, and gold. And they couldn't decide. There were so many great ones. So they came back and said, okay, we've selected a bronze, silver, gold, and a platinum for the first time. Kind of confusing for me. And two, what do we call them? Honorable mentions. So and then we showed the finalists as well. So again, literally all of those were incredible examples of due diligence, of leadership, of teamwork, and most importantly, significant results for citizens in Canada. Like working with those communities, and the focus in what we do is we normally put a 3-minute clip together, or they put a clip together that we show. That's why it's such an exciting evening. And I always am amazed because it really does focus on the work that was done, but also the results. And they often, when we have those videos, they actually portray the people that are actually receiving the services, the benefits, etc. So it's actually overwhelming and wonderful. So you missed out, but you will have a chance. As I say, there's a breakout session today to hear a little bit more about those different initiatives. And they will be posted on the IPAC website, like all the finalists. And so I encourage you, go take a look, because I think you're going to see something that's new, novel, and probably relevant to the work you're doing back in your home jurisdiction. Before I pass the podium over to Denise, and again, we have an incredible day lined up for you today as well. I just want to mention that yesterday someone lost an iPhone. So if anyone found an iPhone, if you could return it to the registration desk, we'll get it back to the appropriate owner, or we'll raffle it off at the end of the day. So, Denise.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Catherine, are you here? Okay, great. And Mark Goldenberg, where are you? Okay, great. I have a story to share with you. Catherine, who raised her hand over there, and is now working for me, but the reasons why I want to talk about her is that I discovered, she told me that I went to elementary school with her mom. Just imagine how it made me feel. And so that's the first one. The second one, Mark, where are you again? Mark Goldenberg, okay. Mark is the first Director General that I work for when I started to work in the federal government coming from the Northwest Territories. And I have something to share with you. It was really funny because he took a leap of faith in me. He wanted to know someone that knew the other side. And because his branch was giving us funding for French in the Northwest Territories. But what is the most interesting is that he taught me how to write briefing notes. Because when I was in the North, I signed my own letters. I decided a lot of things. There was almost no hierarchy over there. You could see the deputy minister talk to the deputy minister because they would do their groceries at the same place as you would do your groceries. So all that to say, big thanks to you, Mark, for having had the confidence and giving me the opportunity to have a great career in the federal public service. So I hope you had a great day. As Robert mentioned earlier, it was a really great rebooting day, if I may say it like that. And I want to share some insights because it's always good to go back and think about what we heard. First, with the city planner, with Jennifer, I'm sure you can agree about her inspiring leadership and what a boost for the recognitions of public servants that she gave us. So this was really awesome to begin like that. Then, of course, we had Mark and Samantha Hurwitz. We were all wondering where are we going with those papers, cutting and all that, and then, you know, going in groups and not being sure of what we were supposed to do with our role. But I don't know about you, but my own insight was about these notions of followership. You always hear about it and you say, yes, I'm a follower. But what struck me is that when you're a senior manager, it's 40-40. 40 leadership, 40%, and 40% followership. This was an aha moment for me. And this is certainly something that I'm taking away. And when I saw the stats about that company that moved from 2021 rank to first, I thought, wow. And there was, you remember, there was only one person in the room that had taken courses in followership. So that's certainly something for us to bring back in our workplace and look at what do we do about it. Who's offering courses in followership? Then, of course, we had all those different workshops ranging from influencing from the middle to budget to agility. What struck me also was the humility and the candor of Matthew Turrigan when he talked about what was needed in the workplace. And also, you know, is recognitions of the great work being done in the public service. Because for him, although he is also a public servant, having been a police officer, now to be in a ministry, to be in a department, it's very different. And you know how grateful he was of the team that he is working with. And when you put all of that together, there was always a common thread. Yes, the rebooting, but also the evidence-based. Because no matter who was talking, they were always talking about the research that had been done before, the numbers, to give you the proof of what they were talking about. And that's extremely, extremely important whenever you want to look at doing something new, going in new directions, when you're able to look at what was said before, what the research did tell you. So, and I always like to have at least one pearl of wisdom when I go somewhere. And I'll mention the one of Jennifer. In fact, I'm not sure you call it in English a pearl of wisdom, but it's an expression that you really like. Is when she said, the question is, do you want to be a leader or a lagger? Good question. So just to make sure you're all waking up, 3 questions, you know the drill, okay? So you are ready with your little machine. I'll give you a minute. So the first question. The winner, whoop. No, that's not the good one. I'm supposed to have the winner of the best picture. It's coming, day 2, yes.
So click 1 if you want the next set of slides.
So I'll give you the question meanwhile. The winner, oh, so I can vote too. The winner of the best picture at the 2016 Oscars will be, and by the way, Star Wars is not in the list, unfortunately. So maybe we'll just do a draw of hand then. Why don't we do that?
There we go.
Oh, okay. So you have 1 minute to vote. I have to admit I didn't watch all of those. Oh, The Revenant. And my husband went alone to watch it. Okay. So the second one is about a famous name that we all saw when we were kids, but that we keep seeing on TV these days. His name is Donald. So, who do you think he is? Oh, really?
It should be a former Republican president.
I have to say that I hope we will remember for the rest of our life more A than C. I don't want to show my colors, but okay. Next one. And I have no clue on that myself. Which of the following professional sports team will be first to win a championship for Canada?
Where's the Maple Leafs?
Okay.
Toronto Blue Jays.
And I believe for some of you it was wishful thinking. Okay, great. So thank you. It seems that you're all well ready to go. So the next session of the day, the first one of the day, is taking your selfie to the next level. A social leadership journey. That's an interesting title. So I'm pleased to introduce you Beth Bell. She leads the public sector practice for IBM Global Business Services. Her team brings IBM's transformational expertise to support federal, provincial, territorial, and healthcare clients who are embarking on transformational initiatives. She is so well placed to talk to us about social leadership this morning. And I'll tell you, I could tell you a lot of things, but I'll focus on two, because I see it as linked. I don't know her talk, but I think it's because of that she'll talk about social leadership. She has a rich heritage in IBM's diversity community. She was the founder and former chair of the IBM Manitoba Women in Technology, and she is currently the Canadian executive sponsor for IBM Persons with Disabilities. So I'm very, very pleased that we have the chance to hear her. So she will share with us her personal thoughts and observations on the concept of social leadership, what it is not, why it matters more than ever before, and how best to enable it when looking to achieve a more cohesive and charged up organizational culture. So Beth, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to give you an extra 5.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I didn't make the gala last night, but I heard it was very, very good. I wanted to clear up 2 things right off the hop. The first thing is I voted for the Winnipeg Jets. I am a Winnipeg girl. And the second thing is, for the past 15 years, my husband and I, in our spare time, have watched every single Academy Award nominated movie before the awards, because we have a party at our house, and I have won it about 5 years in a row, the contest for picking. So if I can't believe you, I'll pick The Revenant. I felt like I'd been beaten when I walked out. I'll never get the 2 hours back from seeing Mad Max Fury Road. Those days of my life, that time in my life is gone. And my personal favorite, although I don't think it'll win, is Spotlight. So, yeah, it was a great movie. It was a great movie, regardless of your religious affiliation. So I'm thrilled to speak to you about this topic. When they asked me to speak on it, I kind of was noodling a little bit, and then I said, you know what, I think I have a point of view on this that I'd like to share with the people at IPAC. And we've enjoyed a very, very mutually beneficial partnership with the IPAC organization, and I'll talk about how we're continuing that in my presentation, because I think we're doing some fairly innovative things together. So how to take your selfie to the next level. I did a keynote in Winnipeg for 600 women on leadership, eminence, and executive presence. And this is the title I used. Now, I'm not giving you that presentation today, just so you understand. I have a different, but I love this because throughout my whole career, I've always tried, because I really truly believe that as a leader, each one of us is a work in progress. Okay, so we're always continuing to develop. And so I've always gone by the adage, I have to keep looking myself in the mirror to see if I like what I see. And if there are things that I don't like what I see as a leader, what would I be doing to change those things? So looking in the mirror in modern day is the selfie. And for those of you who with children who spend a lot of their time posing like this, why does every girl in the world pose like that for Instagram? But anyway, so I try to look myself in the mirror every day and critically evaluate my performance as a leader. Some days I like what I see, some days I don't. And so my day job, as Denise said, is running our public sector practice for Canada. What I also have responsibility for is our Client Innovation Center in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where we've grown to just under 400 people with a very, very high mix of new graduates from the colleges and universities in the Maritime area. Now, I also have 2 children, 22 and 19. So by the nature of my day job and my night job, I am highly influenced by millennials. Okay? And they tell you what they think, don't they? They're really good at telling you what you're doing and what you should be doing better. And so what I like about that, and especially from all the new grads we have working in Halifax, is they're really having a profound impact on changing me as a leader, because they tell me every day what I need to be doing. Okay, and I've really made it a point to listen to them because they have a lot of very innovative ideas and things to say. So like many of you, not all of you, I'm not going to make any generalizations here. I might be in the second half of my career. Okay, I'm sure there's lots of you here that are in the first half. But I also am mindful that my part and my role at IBM is to inspire IBMers of all ages, whether they be millennials or baby boomers, to innovate for our clients and for the world. And so that's why I think social leadership is so important. And I think in many ways, I've always kind of been inclined this way. But I thought I'd share some of my thoughts with you on social leadership, share some of the things that we've done at IBM to enable social leaders. And maybe you can take 1 or 2 nuggets out of today and start to think about how those things might help you in your leadership journey. So for years, we've all been defined by our CV or our resume. And it's a list of projects or jobs you've had. You might have a paragraph at the front that talks about, does a skill summary of who you are, right? And this is actually just a graphic representation of that front paragraph in my CV. And while the point of the slide isn't to show you what's in my CV, the point of the slide is to have you look at this and say, it does a nice job of graphically showing you some of my skills and job experiences, but it doesn't tell you who I am as a leader. And it doesn't tell you what my brand is for my clients and within IBM. And it doesn't give you any insight to me as a person at all. It's a one-dimensional view of Beth Bell. So when we look at social leadership, I really think it's filling out the 3-dimensional view of who each of you are as a leader. So IPAC defines social leadership as a process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. And they further go on to define it a little bit more in detail. They're inspired individuals in any group or community of expertise at any level of the organization, and they're excellent communicators. And I think the 2 words I love in that sentence are inspired, and the fact that it doesn't matter where leadership is, because it comes from every level of the organization. So it's starting to paint this picture that leadership is no longer a job, a title, or a position, or the authority you have. It's the way you conduct yourself to lead in the organization, regardless of your role. These people are engaged and passionate about their work. They're adept at aspiring passion and commitment of others. They lead by example. They're technology astute. And we'll come back to that, because I think when we talk about social leaders, you know, your knowledge and use of social media becomes a very pivotal part of that. And I'm going to hopefully give you the case to, if you haven't started on that journey, to start it. They share collective intelligence. They give real-time feedback to colleagues and peers, and they adapt to constant change and diversity in the workplace. So if you look at all of these things and the definition on the previous slide, you'd recognize that this is a pretty high bar. And I think what's important here is it really defines what we would think of as a leader. So no longer defined by those formal roles and responsibilities, it's now more about values, attitudes, and what you do and demonstrate in front of others. And it's really a role at any level of the organization. So on top of the IPAC definition, I did a little bit of, just to set context, a little bit of research. And the Huffington Post actually had quite a good article on 10 ways to know if you're a social leader. And so I won't talk about the ones that overlapped with the IPAC definition, but I thought it'd be worthwhile to share some of their ideas. They say social leaders are pragmatic optimists. They default to yes. They're forward-looking, and they're always asking, what if? They're first to follow and first to lead. So we heard Denise talk about yesterday about the whole concept of followership. So they're first to follow and first to lead. They're open-minded. Trust is a very big factor in social leaders. They enable and empower their people. They're accountable. They're authentic. So they're open and honest. And they come with an attitude that none of us is as smart as all of us. Okay, so that I think you can start to sort of fill out the picture of what an aspirational social leader might look like. And I ask you, as we're going through this, to sort of think about your own personal leadership style and think about how that selfie looks. And if there are areas that you think that, you know, you'd like to tune or work on, because we're all works in progress. Now, as important as what social leaders are, I think it's important to talk about what they're not. So what the Huffington Post said was that social leaders are not pessimists. They don't make decisions in a vacuum. They don't think they're the smartest person in the room. And they don't micromanage and control. They don't say it's not my fault, I'll do it when I'm told, and they don't say this is how we've always done it. And the one here that I know that I'm at least on my journey as a social leader, because the one on here that drives me absolutely berserk is the micromanaging piece. As a person, like I hate that. So let's talk about expectations. So as public sector leaders, you all have rapidly changing environments, okay? You have lots of big transformational challenges, and more importantly, with those transformation challenges, you have citizen-employee expectations that are growing and accelerating, okay? Probably faster than you probably think you can cope with the change that they're asking you to make, okay? So last November, we did a workshop for new professionals for IPAC at Simon Fraser University in British Columbia. It was a group of about 40 new professionals from the BC Public Service, all with less than 5 years of experience. So they're categorized new professionals. And the topic we had for the day was social leadership. And the workshop, we did a workshop full day, and we asked them a couple of questions. The first question it was, how could social and mobile technologies be used to improve citizen experience and the government employee experience? So they had to look at things from two dimensions. Now, at the end of the workshop, my team collected just about 400 stickies that were all over the walls of the room we did the workshop in. The new professionals were on their feet for a vast majority of the day, writing down ideas, categorizing things, and really starting to do some great group think and collaborate to answer these two really important questions. So we got those 400 stickies. That's the not fun part of this, is when you have to sort of consolidate and look. But I will tell you, we sent the results down to the IBM Institute for Business Value in the US, and I talked to the woman compiling the results, and I've seen a preliminary view of them. And it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. And so we're in the process of writing a paper and creating a presentation so that we can share that back with IPAC and executives like yourself. So I think what you'll find is I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what they said. And I think it'll give you impetus, if you want, to reboot your social leadership journey. Before I do that, though, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a backdrop and give you where these people are coming from, these young professionals. So this quote is used by an IBM senior vice president. And I'll take you through it, because the first time I read it, I wasn't quite sure what it meant. But basically it says, the last best experience that anybody has is the minimum expectation they have for experience they want everywhere. Okay? So what that means is, if an employee, a government employee or a citizen has just managed their banking on Tangerine, or they've bought a coffee using their mobile phone at Starbucks, or they've perhaps bought something, a gift for a friend or a coworker on Amazon or eBay. Whatever out of that sample was their last best experience is the minimum expectation they have coming in to your systems. Okay, so that's what they're expecting. And I guess my question is, are we ready for that? So as younger millennial citizens of today, they're not interested in consuming government services the way we've always traditionally provided them, right? They know very clearly how they want to interact as citizens and employees. And so let me tell you what they said. Now this chart looked good on a small screen, but not so good on the big one, so I'll take you through it. First of all, we'll talk about the use of social media. They said government needs to have employees dedicated to responding to and analyzing social data. Okay, what are people saying in, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever the social channel is? What are people saying, and is government analyzing that data and putting that into consideration for policy development? And then this is going to start the theme of two-way communication, two-way live real-time communication with employees and citizens. They want an underlying that the social experience are standardized. They have interaction guidelines and data standards with an emphasis on citizen privacy and data security. There's a lot of people think that millennials are cavalier when it comes to security and data privacy. And we did a millennial study about 1.5 years ago, and that was one of the myths that we said was completely not true. And the IPAC New Professionals just proved it out yet again. Very, very concerned about that. They want a voice in developing policies, practices, and improving those policies. And they expect to be able to interact with government via social media using any one of a number of applications and a layman's vocabulary. And they want you to answer them when you ask them something. Okay, and they want your employees to answer them fast. Like when you're on the air, when you do a tweet on Air Canada because they have a late flight and someone said, we're really, and you complain about it and you tag them, the first thing they do is respond back to you and say, we're really sorry for the delay because of weather conditions that was beyond our control. Someone is listening to you, someone is talking to you. The second thing is all about end-to-end service delivery, and that will not be new to anybody in this room. They would like a digital platform that supports a single entry portal to all government departments and agencies. They want the ability to complete most service or licensing tasks online without having to make an in-person visit. And they would like intergovernment collaboration, cross-training essential to keeping employees motivated. In terms of processes and tools, they would like better resources for public servants to collaborate and communicate from the bottom up ideas. They'd like functional dashboards with real-time online project tracking and cross-agency workflow. And the last on talent, they would like talent management in a digital government. They think it requires new ways of thinking about when, where, and how we get work done. They'd like recognition for their ideas in terms of compensation and bonuses. And this is just a sample of the findings, and we'll have more when we do our paper. But I think you'll set the context now as we start to talk about social leadership journey and what our new citizens and employees are expecting, that it really creates a very strong case for all of us to take our selfies to the next level. Okay. Now, if this didn't convince you, I'm going to give you one more data point, and that's our recent federal election. Obama, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau are great examples of people who are not only social leaders, but they also leverage social media to enhance their persona and demonstrate and create intimacy and contact with their citizens. I'm from Winnipeg, I mentioned, and Brian Bowman is the mayor of Winnipeg. He's a social media maniac. I can't open my Instagram without seeing 2 or 3 pictures of what he's done. He was at the mayor's conference this week. I know who he talked to about what. I know more about what Brian Bowman's doing that I've never known about any mayor I've ever seen. So when we look at Justin Trudeau, when the Liberal majority was announced, there were 827 tweets launched into the Twitterverse every minute on Justin Trudeau. His official Twitter account captured 60% of all online mentions, with about 152,000 people tweeting. He has 1.3 million followers on Twitter and about almost 300 followers on Instagram. And on top of all that, lots of photos on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, intimate photos. We all remember the election night of him bending down, kissing his wife or hugging his mother. We remember the photos of him and his young children. This is giving people insight into his life and who he is that is not one-dimensional. And he started his social campaign early, and it not only did it bring him voters, but it brought out more voters than ever. It really brought the millennials into voting. So when it came to him, no one quite marketed like him. He made fun of his hair. He put photos of his kids, you'll see that, and very inspiring photos, which he weaved in his political campaign messages into who he was as a person. Now, Manitoba has typically not been a very big liberal place. When Justin Trudeau came to town, it was like the Queen coming. People were lining the streets with the opportunity to take a glimpse of, perhaps the future prime minister. He created a movement and a following. He triggered emotion. He proved they were listening. So when he put stuff out and people responded to him, his campaign team responded back almost instantaneously. And if you've noticed now that he is prime minister, he's giving you pictures of himself inside his office. You saw pictures of the fact he had his father's desk moved into the office. This week he tweeted about the fact that on Wednesday they have caucus meetings and everybody has to put their phones at the door so they can just spend their time talking to each other and not be bothered what's on their Blackberries or iPhones. So he's giving people insight into what's going on. It creates a level of intimacy around his leadership, and you're more interested to see what he's doing. And while you're consuming all of this, you're also hearing his political point of view. Okay, and he's giving you progress checkpoints on what he's doing. So, I think this does epitomize, but I also recognize that none of us have the staff to do this for us, right? I mean, he still has a whole staff to do this. So. We all have to enable social leadership, so I thought I'd spend a couple of moments and talk a little bit about how we do this at IBM. We have a large global matrix organization with about 400,000 employees. And again, to innovate for our clients. And to do that, we have to empower leaders at every level of the organization. And I'll spend a couple of minutes just talking you through this. So the first thing is we encourage our employees to share their eminence, okay, their personal eminence in social media. They have a choice of what to use. We have guidelines they have to sign off on how they will represent IBM in social media, but we encourage and we teach them how to do it because we think it's important that we share our eminence not only with our clients but with the world. And that's both internally and externally. Internally, we share it via wikis and communities and blogs so that, for example, if I do a presentation like an event like this, I'll likely post it so someone else could leverage it in another country. Okay. We benefit from some of our partnerships. Our partnership with Apple has brought us one of the biggest benefits has been their design thinking approach, the ability to think differently about problems and solutions and to innovate. And we're well into the process of changing the way we brainstorm and collaborate within IBM. And we're taking that design thinking approach and we're teaching our clients. And we just went through it at an executive meeting I was at, so we'd all get through it at least once if we hadn't been, and a number of us had been through it already. And the type of brainstorming it allows is it causes you to think differently about problems and solutions. And we do this for our clients. We, of course, use, Watson, and you've heard a lot about our cognitive. We encourage our employees to give back into the communities through executive or corporate service corps, where they can take a 3 to 4 week journey in another country on a project. I went to Chengdu, China in 2010 to work with the Chengdu government on their Smarter Cities plan, and I spent 3 weeks there. We were able to give a deliverable to them that we do pro bono, and on top of that, I got some really great global experience working in a different country and with colleagues from all over the world. We do things like jams. We did one in 2005 for the World Urban Forum. We did something called Habitat Jam. So over 72 hours, 40,000 global participants got online and started brainstorming. From 158 countries, we helped them. They came out with 60,000 actionable ideas and about 4,000 pages of notes from a 72-hour jam. And this is how we generate ideas within IBM. So when we came up with our values, our IBM values, we did it through a 3-day executive facilitated online jam. So anybody at any level of the organization can participate. And of course, we have lots of coaching for our people. A number of the executives 2 weeks ago, they gave us a half day and some young mentors to help us improve our social performance. So we had workshops on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, and if you take whatever level you were at and take you one step up. In addition to all of this, we have an underlying roadmap because we honestly believe that leadership comes the day you start at IBM. And so these leadership competencies are how we judge progression of employees within IBM. So it doesn't matter whether you just walked in the door from a college or university, or you're a senior vice president looking for your next big promotion. Your skills and capabilities are judged against the leadership competencies. And what they do is they describe the expected behaviors. And I'll give you a good example. So if we take embracing challenge as an example, an entry-level person, we might describe the performance as persists in overcoming obstacles, challenging oneself to drive better results. And there's about 4 levels before you get to thought leader. And in that pre-executive, a thought leader would demonstrate the following behavior for embracing challenge. They create a belief within the team that they can excel, energizing them to see and embrace challenge, and embedding this attitude into the way they approach the business. See the difference between the entry level and a thought leader? And then if you're an executive, it might be a behavior that looks something like creates an organizational climate in which individuals and teams take risks and find innovative solutions for strategic impact. So we define the behaviors we expect, and so regardless of what level you are in the organization, this is your roadmap for promotion, and you're looking to describe what you do against these competencies. And I'll tell you, for those of you who hire new graduates, they're amazing people. In Halifax, we have a very high mix of new graduates with experienced professionals. And I met with 3 of them last time I was there because they were nominated for an innovation award. So these are 3 people who had just graduated from a college or university in the Maritimes, and they'd come to work at IBM, and in 6 months, they had sort of stood out in some way, shape, or form. And so I asked them why they were nominated. And it was funny, they described a little bit about what they did, but mostly what they described is how they acted. And so they describe, and as I walked away, I said to my boss, who was also with me, I said, did you notice they talked very little about themselves and what they did, but more about how they led? I said, some of the ink isn't dry on their diplomas yet. But it was just amazing being immersed in the environment, how they had already swallowed the fact that they were leaders within IBM. So what's your plan to take your selfie to the next level? I'm going to offer what I think are the things that I look to do for myself, and maybe there's 1 or 2 things in there that might work for you as well. I think we need to really, really understand the expectations of our citizens and our employees. So whether they're a baby boomer or a millennial, we need to critically evaluate what they expect from us and how we can meet those expectations. I talk about the concept of a brand. And you might think, okay, Beth, well, Jell-O's a brand. Do I really have a brand? But I think each of you do have a personal brand. What is that? And get some feedback on it. We encourage our emerging executives to define their brand on a page and then get input on how they see themselves is the way others see them as they progress themselves, and so that they can tune their leadership style along the way. Of course, you must lead by example, inspire people, but we all need to challenge the as is, because the as is not going to meet the expectations of our future citizens and employees. Of course, if you're game, you might think about your talent and leadership models, which are the underlying foundation for culture and for progression of employees. Embrace and learn how to be social. It's an uncomfortable place. If you've never been on Twitter before, you might not know how to make a tweet. Your best friend is your reverse mentor. And we do tons of reverse mentoring in IBM. I had a woman spend half an hour with me to talk to me about my LinkedIn profile. And in her very sweet voice and in her very nice way, she told me my profile was crap. Finally, I was listening to her dance around, and I said to her, Amanda, it's crap. She goes, it's not crap. It's not. You've got some very good things in there, Beth, but it's just the way you're describing them that isn't good. You're talking in the third person. You have to talk with your own voice. And she gave me a lot of very, very relevant tips. And I said, okay, I'll take some time to do it, and then can I come back and can you grade my performance? And she said, of course I will. Amanda's about 25. So she's my reverse mentor. And you all have reverse mentors at home. When I started off on Twitter a couple of years ago, I put out a tweet, and my son, who is really into social media, said to me, I got to teach you how to tweet. That's crap. You can't do that. You can't do that. So, and the great thing about reverse mentors is that once you are authentic with them, they'll tell you exactly what they think, right? Which is the fastest way to improving. And I think with this new generation, listening, trusting, and communicating are important. One of the things that came out of the new professionals, I just saw it when I was reviewing the charts again last night, is they said they said that they would like to communicate with citizens via email, but there's all kinds of policies and procedures that don't allow them to do that. And they said, why can't we just talk to them in email? And you know, what do we need to do to make that happen? Okay. Okay, so remember I said in the beginning that we're all works in progress. So whether you're in the first half of your career or the second half like I might be, it's never too late to take your leadership to the next level, from regardless of where you sit in the organization. It's really about setting those goals, getting some advice and counsel, collaborating and getting yourself educated, reevaluating to see how you did, and rewarding your people for the right type of behavior. And I think critical in that is learning to communicate, listen, and trust, because what they're looking for is you as three-dimensional leaders. And they're looking for your values, ideas, and attitudes. And they're looking for you to listen to them, to act on their input, and to make change. And I think that's what being a social leader is. Thank you. Okay.
So no, stay here, please. Just a couple of quick comments. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I suspect many of you have lots of questions for Beth or want to chat. So I hope she will be around for a little bit. Beth will also be joining us for our annual conference, and I'll just speak a little bit about that. So this, and I must tell you, I think we should have spent more time on this. So we apologize. This is one of the most important elements, I think, certainly from the work that we do, that we're seeing all the time. And I think yesterday our conversations about leadership and followership. You know, you got to ask yourself the question, are you a leader? Are you a follower? Here's an opportunity to be a follower. Learn from others. And what I love about the whole concept around social leadership, and this is a couple of aspects just to share, but one is we're sort of being pushed into this, right? If you 2 years ago, if you had taken leadership training and development, it probably wouldn't have been on the radar. And the theories out there are just emerging now. So we're very fortunate to have Beth as a leader in this area come and share her concepts, her thoughts, her experiences. And the other thing I would tell you is that it's about engaging in the future. And I suspect that many of you out there, how many consider themselves to be a social leader?
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of us, so we do a lot of training, et cetera, in leadership, et cetera. And when we bring this concept forward, and as I say, it's emerging, a lot of people are afraid of it, right? They don't understand it. It's a new concept. They don't know how to engage. And it's back to that being a follower. Listen to others. And it isn't just about social media, just so we appreciate. It's about the way you communicate. The list that you've provided, Beth, was excellent for people to think about. And actually, many of those elements, we continue to train on that for leadership, right? It's not necessarily new. It's taking it to a new level and learning new ways to adapt and adopt. And I'll just mention, too, that just by example, when I talk about the push factor here from our new public servants, our new professionals, millennials, et cetera, we've had a campaign earlier this year from our new professional cadre in IPAC to create a social leadership award. And so we're going to do that. And we're going to announce it at our annual conference. And again, it's a mindful and respectful of the new way of doing business. And it embraces all the other things that we talked about yesterday as well. So it's a new era for us to proceed. And I really thank Beth for sharing, and Beth will be joining us, as I mentioned, at our annual conference when we announce that Social Leadership Award. So on behalf of everyone here in IPAC, I really like to thank Beth.
Thank you.
Not only for today, but continuing support. As Beth noted, we do a lot of work together, and we're really pleased to have that kind of partnership. So, a small token of our appreciation. So the other thing I need to do before we move to the breakout sessions, as we promised yesterday, we're doing a little bit of homework here. So if you can pull out your pads again, and we're building slowly, right? We're gathering